Hi guys, Emma here at the Vlog Lady. I was talking to my mother the other day. She gave me the inspiration for this vlog. Probably sounds a bit weird, like, you know, I was hanging with my granny. No, she is a kind of weird type of person. She thinks she's one of these visionary psychic types. Last week she said she had a really weird night and she woke up in the middle of the night and looked outside and there were two moons. Yeah, whatever. She was like, and then I saw you vlogging. You were vlogging about Twin Peaks. And you are talking about there are about 10 people in a room and there's a table in the middle. There's some kind of weird meeting going on, and I was suddenly starting to think, like, she's never seen Fire Walk with Me, so I thought it was a bit amusing, to be honest, and I decided to do this video looking at the characters in the convenience store, who they are, who they might be, and where we went with them in season 3 of Twin Peaks. Okay, so first of all we get a glimpse of the convenience store in Fire Walk with Me, the theatrical cut, but we get a much clearer version in the missing pieces. Philip Jeffries describes a meeting in the convenience store, and then we get a full flash of this scene. We see a gathering of 8 figures in what appears to be a rather dirty looking room. It looks like a place that you wouldn't live permanently, a place that you might just pass through. It looks run down. It appears that it might have been furnished at some point, but that it is now in a derelict state. The table in the middle of the room is small and is clearly only equipped to sit 2 to 4 people, but there are only 2 chairs at the table. So you might assume that the 2 people at the table are the most important members of that group, and possibly the most powerful members. So that would be the little man and Bob. These characters also share the majority of the dialogue in this scene, and some of the other characters don't speak at all, and some of them make odd animal type noises which can't really be interpreted in any logical human sense. The rest of the group have positions on the periphery, which could suggest they are either followers or subordinates. So the first character is the jumping man. He has what appears to be a box stand, and this could be indicative of his nature, something about his nature. Maybe the box serves as some kind of visual trick. He certainly seems to enjoy movement, and he moves as if he's involved in a dance of some sort. It could be a ritualistic dance, it could be simply that his cellular structure compels him to move this way. He carries what appears to be a slingshot in one hand, which could imply that he is predatory, could imply that he is defensive. Certainly it's a childish toy, it's a childish weapon, and I do think that the jumping man sometimes appears like a jumping boy. Perhaps his box stand gives him leverage, elevates him to a greater height so that he can aim his slingshot better. He wears a red suit, which could imply that he is an exhibitionist, or it could just imply that he aligns himself to the little man who also wears a red suit. He wears a mask which is similar but not identical to the one we see the grandson wearing when the grandson and grandma meet Laura and they give her the picture. This mask, it is grotesque, I think, and the nose on the mask looks like some kind of beak of a predatory bird. What really interested me about this scene when I went back to look at it as I was researching what I was going to say for this video was that we see a lot of mist around the jumping man, and we also hear him make these odd kind of dolphin or monkey noises. His demeanor, his presentation reminded me a lot of Nado in season 3 of Twin Peaks, because she also appeared in a halo of mist and she also communicated via these strange sounds. In season 3 of Twin Peaks, we do see the jumping man again, but this time he seems to have Sarah Palmer's face imposed on his own, or imposed on the mask. It made me wonder whether the jumping man is a similar kind of vessel to Nado, in that he traps souls, or he traps people, their physical forms or their spiritual forms, in the lodge, in the same way that Diane was trapped in or with or as Nado. It's interesting that the jumping man is still there in the convenience store all of these years later, which does suggest that the hierarchy continues. He acts almost like a sentinel, I think, in season 3 of Twin Peaks. The group seems to have been dispersed in season 3, but the jumping man remains inside the lodge or the convenience store. Okay, so also in the convenience store are 2 woodsmen and the electrician. The electrician says the words animal life. And as we know from season 3, there are so many woodsmen. The woodsmen that we see in the convenience store meeting are different to the woodsmen we saw in season 3 because they aren't charcoal colored. It's difficult to figure out timeline whether one set of woodsmen that we see, the non-charcoal ones, are the original woodsmen, or are they just a different form of woodsman, or are the charcoal woodsmen the original ones? They seem to appear out of the nuclear test. This could connect in with what the little man says about being descended from pure air. One woodsman seems to have a job at the meeting, and that is to activate some kind of electrical source in which he appears to create some kind of short circuit event where the electricity explodes. He and the rest of the group appear to find this very fulfilling. I know that some people think that one of these woodsmen might be the husband of the log lady. There has also been some connection to an article that appeared in the Secret History of Twin Peaks about a fire in Twin Peaks, and which you can read about on pages 66 to 69 in the Secret History of Twin Peaks. It is an event that occurred in 1902. The death toll was originally 6, rising to 8 because 2 people died a little later. I'm not sure if that means anything. I mean, to me the woodsmen seem like almost insects, and they seem to have a hive mind in that they work for the greater good. I think we see this in the meeting at the convenience store, that they are assisting Bob and the little man. Also, when we see them in season 3, they aren't working as individuals, they're working as a group. And that poem that one of the woodsmen transmitted across the air seemed to suggest that they possess a shared psyche, if you like, I guess. I mean, it's difficult to understand how some living species like bees translate information to one another, but I feel like that's a similar way to how the woodsmen interact with each other. And the fact that there are 2 woodsmen at the meeting does imply that there might be more numbers to them than any other member of the group. We did not see the electrician again in season 3, and that is possibly due to the death of the actor playing him. Likewise, the granny, she's not called the granny, the grandmother, also known as Mrs. Tremont or Chalfont. The actress Frances Bay also passed away. Mrs. Tremont and the grandson, they sit together, quite close together. She is in a position that looks like a position that a guardian would take, I guess, whilst he, the grandson, who is apparently called Pierre, sits like a kid would sit, sliding down the seat almost. That might seem at first like just something that a kid would do, a bored kid at a meeting like that, but is he even a kid? What is he? We don't really know. It could also imply his posture, the way he slides down that seat and is very low. Could also imply that he is that he has very low status in that group, or that he is learning. An idea that came to me was that he might be learning from Bob. He might be Bob's apprentice sort of thing, and he might be the next Bob. However, he does tell Bob to fell a victim. Is this a command, or is it the hungry cry of a inexperienced member of that society? There are also some strange overlapping scenes with a dog barking and a monkey face connected to the grandson. And all of this made me wonder, when these parasitic entities, when they become something else, and then when they leave that creature, that thing, that dog or that owl or that person, do they take a piece of that away with them and always have that to hand as part of what they are now? I think that in another scene we see the grandmother, Mrs. Tremont, explain to Donna that the boy is studying magic, and to us that means magic tricks and fun and entertainment, but to them maybe it means he is studying how to become a predator. From what we know about the Tremonts and the Chalfonts, I would say that they are helping Bob, that they are lures, that they position themselves around people to manipulate events, to manipulate people, to bring a sense of dark magic to the situation. I think that they are chameleons and that they can masquerade as anybody that they want. Okay, so in season 3 of Twin Peaks, we meet another Tremont, or is it the same Tremont? The fact that the name is used again may suggest that this woman is just the same spirit or entity in a different form. I do think that it's possible that they are the same character, that they do have a different physical form, but that they are the same inside, and that Alice Tremont is either she's a different physical form that the grandmother has inhabited, or she could be a reflection of Mrs. Tremont from the other world. Depending on how you interpret what has happened to Cooper when he goes into this other place where we find Carrie Page and this alternative world, depending on what your interpretations on that are, I think how you think about Alice Tremont. As we see her in the Palmer house, she is Alice Tremont. Why is she inhabiting the Palmer house? Does that imply that they have a stronghold over good in this world? I don't know. Certainly Alice Tremont presents herself in a way that suggests she's innocent, in a way that suggests she doesn't know what's going on, but it seems so suspicious and so unlikely that she doesn't know what's going on. There's a sense of foreboding about everything that she says, and when she talks to her unknown husband, who is just this disembodied voice in the background, there is something very unsettling about it. It definitely feels like they're hiding something. A lot of people mention the fact that Red is very like the young grandson in a lot of ways, that he performs these strange magic tricks in a similar way. Could he be the grandson grown up? I think it's possible. I think he could be the next Bob. It's strange that he actually looks a little like Bob. He has the same kind of scruffy look. He looks a little tough. He's definitely in deep into dark practices, and he is not afraid of showing that he has these supernatural gifts. The fact that Red's story never really went anywhere is quite intriguing as well, that they brought him in just to be this other person in the relationship with Shelley and Bobby. It seems like there might be another element to Red's presence. I think it's very plausible that there certainly might be another meaning to Red, of why he was there, and whether he is connected to the inhabitants of the Black Lodge. If he is not the grandson, then he certainly seems influenced by the same kind of teaching that the grandson was subject to, this kind of studying of magic. So the last two characters in the convenience store are obviously Bob and the little man. We know what happened to Bob. He stayed with the doppelganger, and he eventually seemed to have been defeated by Freddy, the green glove guy. Why was Bob so easily defeated, or was it easy? I get the feeling that he really was not in control when he was with the doppelganger, that he took a back seat. I feel like in the convenience store meeting that Bob presents himself as this very strong physical force. He seems to make a lot of gestures that imply that he's big, imply that he's tough and strong, and he thrusts a lot, and he looks huge beside the little man obviously, but he also looks so dangerous. The fact that he is assigned with being the one who brings the Garmonbozia, I think that the rest of that group, they put a lot of responsibility onto Bob, and they have great expectations about his ability. I really feel like they are all working for Bob's purpose, for everybody, but that they know that to get what they want, to get those bowls of Garmonbozia that we see on the table, the Formica table, They have to all work for Bob. They all have to do their bit in the group to assist Bob on his journey of felling those victims. So we do see Bob apparently defeated when he is shattered into pieces after being punched by Freddy. And I think in a way that story had to be concluded. In a way, Bob had to be ended somehow because of the death of the actor who played him, Frank Silva. And he was such an iconic character, Bob, that I think that to have left it open with the possibility that there might still be more Twin Peaks in the future, I think that the story had to be concluded somehow. This was a creative way of doing it, I think, but a very unexpected way for me. Now finally we get on to the little man, and although the actor playing the little man is still alive and well, I believe that he was involved with negotiations for season 3 of Twin Peaks and he turned them down. It does appear that the arm is the group leader, that he is conducting the meeting. He utters the very important line of "Fire walk with me" in the meeting. He also says the chrome reflects our image. From pure air we have descended, from pure air going up and down, intercourse between the two worlds. And that to me feels like it's almost like a prayer. And it's also celebrating their own existence in a way. So I feel like the arm has a lot to do with bringing everyone together in that group and making them aware of what they are all doing, of why they are all there. For some reason, the little man evolves into the arm over the course of the time between Cooper's doppelganger exiting the lodge and when we catch up with Cooper's doppelganger in season 3, he has become the arm, which resembles an electrical tree, which some people say resembles the structure of a nerve, and it also appears to have a brain-like feature at the top of the tree. So echoing his responsibility in the convenience store meeting, the arm, or the little man, has a lot to do with Agent Cooper when he is inside the lodge. So the arm appears to Cooper as Dougie, and at this point the arm has a clear agenda about what he wants Cooper to do in order to resolve the situation with the doppelganger being out of the lodge. The arm later appears, but it is not confirmed, but it just looks like the arm without the head at Jackrabbit's palace. And if that is the case, if that is truly the arm, then I feel like he is there as a sort of guard, a guard to stop the doppelganger from messing around with the White Lodge, messing around with anything that would disrupt the plan to get him back into the lodge. So whilst I think it's clear that the structure of the Black Lodge inhabitants has changed over the years, it is evident that some of the characters, they have changed, they have moved on, they are splintered, they are a splintered cell. Some of them may not be alive anymore. Some of the characters, like the electrician and the two woodsmen, may have just been so low in rank or position that they don't really matter, and that other similar characters have taken their place, or they have moved on to other duties in that lodge world. It takes a little bit of digging, I think, as to bring up some of the theories about what's going on in the latest installation of Twin Peaks with these characters. I have no idea why the arm evolved like that, why the little man would have become the arm. Yeah, a thing that doesn't physically exist for us as a race, as a society. You know, this electrical creature, it's a fantastical creature. It's a fantasy creature. It bears no resemblance to anything living, I don't think. Certainly electricity is very important to the Black Lodge inhabitants. Is the arm some kind of reduced form of electricity? Is that what they are in their essence? I just don't know. I just don't know, but it's very interesting to think about, and I really enjoyed looking at the convenience store scene again after thinking about it, after being inspired to think about it. If you have any theories about any of the characters from the convenience store meeting, you can leave them in the comments below. I think that there must be so many different theories for what is what and what is happening in the world of Twin Peaks in regards to these specific characters. A lot of the scenes with these characters are really abstract, so maybe you never can come to a final conclusion about what it means and what's going on, what they are doing and who they are and who they've become. Maybe that's not possible. I do like that it leaves it so that everybody can have their own Twin Peaks, if you like. Everybody can share ideas, and we have what we have that's shown to us on the screen, but then we can come up with ideas like, is Red connected to the grandson, for instance? Some people may dismiss that completely, and for some people it might make sense. And in that way, I think, unless it's definitively explained to us by the creators of Twin Peaks that this is what's going on, then we can be left with our own dream world Twin Peaks, if you like. Thank you for watching today. You can follow me on Twitter at @thevloglady, and I also have a Facebook page. And that's it really. Bye!